What would you do if you came home for Christmas and found a note saying your family spent your surgery money on a cruise and left you with the grandmother they abandoned? I was supposed to be home for Christmas, like always. The lights should have been glowing from the porch, the smell of cinnamon rolls wafting through the door, maybe even Dad pretending not to burn the ham again. Instead, when I pulled into the driveway of my parents' house, the one I'd helped them refinance just 2 years ago, it looked quiet, too quiet. Snow crunched under my boots as I approached the door suitcase in one hand, Grandma's favorite chocolates in the other. I rang the bell once, nothing. Then I tried the handle, unlocked. When I stepped inside, the house felt hollow. The tree stood in the corner, blinking lights dimly, trying to fake warmth. The same plastic star at the top, the one I made in 2nd grade, but no laughter, no music, just a strange silence that crept into my bones. "Hello," I called out. Only the soft clink of silverware answered. In here, sweetheart, came a voice, frail, familiar. I walked toward the kitchen and found her Grandma Diana, 82, in her knitted purple cardigan, sitting at the table with a plate of what looked like cold stuffing and half-eaten ham. Her dentures weren't in. Her shoulders looked smaller than I remembered. Her sweater sagged like she'd been wearing it too long. My stomach dropped. Where is everyone? She didn't answer right away, just gave me that look, that quiet, brittle smile of someone who's already bracing for your heart to break. Her hand trembled as she slid something across the table, a piece of torn notebook paper, my name written in my mom's loopy cursive. Spent your $8,500 loan on a family cruise. Take care of Grandma while we're gone. Love, Mom. I didn't breathe, couldn't. That money was for my dental surgery. Impacted wisdom's jaw misalignment. I'd worked double shifts all year, Uber on weekends, freelance graphic design at night. I had skipped meals to save, slept 4 hours a night, $8,500 gone. On a cruise. I sat down, hard. Grandma sipped some juice and whispered, "I guess they didn't think you'd mind." I couldn't speak. My mind just looped 2 words, loan, cruise. This wasn't new, it was just louder. I opened the family group chat on my phone. Not a single Merry Christmas, not even a thumbs up. Just my last message 2 weeks ago, confirming I'd arrived the 24th after work. Above that one from my mom in November. "Don't forget to transfer the loan to Dad's account. We need to book before prices jump." They never called it a gift, because they knew. Grandma stood up slowly, her hand resting on the table for balance. "They left yesterday," she said. "Didn't even pack me a lunch." Her voice was steady, resigned. She shuffled toward the hallway, pausing only to touch my arm. "We'll fix this," she said gently. "You always were the only one who stayed kind." Then she disappeared into the dark hallway, the shuffle of her orthopedic slippers fading like a closing curtain. That night, I sat alone at the table. No lights, no music, just the blinking plastic star on the tree trying its best to be festive. I stared at that note for hours. They'd stolen from me, left her behind, and just assumed I'd nod and take it, because that's what I always did. But something was different this time. Something inside me cracked, and something colder started growing in its place. But I had no idea just how deep their betrayal really went. They didn't just take my money, they took my silence and called it permission. I sat in that house for hours, frozen numb. No Christmas movies, no leftover pie, just the echo of that note in my head and the hum of the fridge struggling to stay alive. They left Grandma with cold ham and a flickering tree, and they left me with their mess, again. I thought back to every time I nodded, every time I agreed because saying no made me the villain, because saying yes meant I was still part of the family. I remembered the first time they crossed that line. I was 17. Jacob had stolen Grandma's painkillers after her hip surgery and blamed me. When I refused to lie, they kicked me out, told me I was being dramatic. I slept on a friend's couch for 3 months. They didn't talk to me until Jacob needed rent money, and like an idiot, I nodded. There were other betrayals, 2 quiet ones. Like when they missed my college graduation. They were too busy helping Emily move into her boyfriend's new place. Emily got a car that year. I got a gift card to Applebee's that expired before I could use it. They forgot my birthday for 3 years straight. But when Dad needed help paying off gambling debts, I got a frantic call at midnight. Just a lone Aiden. You know how grateful we are. Grateful, sure. The same way a leech is grateful for blood. By morning, I had questions, and I wanted answers. I opened Instagram, the only place they ever really told the truth. Emily had posted a photo the night before her Jacob mom and dad in plush white robes, clinking champagne glasses aboard a cruise ship. The caption read, "Finally. Some peace away from all the leeches and negativity. Leeches, my money, my Christmas. And I was the leech, I laughed. Not the funny kind. The unhinged kind, the kind that stings in your chest." That was when the last wire inside me snapped. Grandma found me in the garage that evening, hunched over an old filing cabinet. I'd pulled out boxes of receipts folders, envelopes, credit card statements going back 20 years. She didn't ask questions, just walked over, set down a dusty notebook, and said, "Start with 2016. That's when your mom took my pension login." My hands stopped shaking. We flipped through pages, logins, withdrawals, transfers. Patterns emerged. Familiar gas stations, grocery store ATMs near Dad's favorite sports bar, Sephora and Apple charges disguised as medical reimbursements. Everything matched. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I stayed at that table cross-referencing transactions with bank statements and family texts. Grandma brewed coffee around midnight and slid a plate of toast toward me. "You don't have to fix this alone," she whispered. I looked up at her, this woman who raised 3 kids, nursed them through chickenpox and heartbreaks, and got left behind with moldy pie and a broken furnace. "No," I said. "We fix this together." And we started to build something they'd never expect. A case. But I wasn't ready for what came next. Emily hadn't blocked me from her Instagram stories yet. The next morning, she posted another video, her in a hot tub drink in hand giggling with Jacob as they clinked glasses again. The caption, "Cutting out toxic people is self-care." Grandma, watching over my shoulder, just muttered, "Maybe they should have cut out plastic surgery debt first." I blinked. "What?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "Your mother used my retirement to pay for her lipo 2 years ago, said it was a medical necessity." The rage I'd buried started to rise. I opened the family group chat, typed a message, then deleted it. They didn't deserve a warning. They deserved a reckoning, and I was going to give them one. Because if I didn't, who would? They came back with tan lines and souvenirs and walked into the house like they hadn't stolen Christmas. The driveway was loud before I even saw them. Emily's high-pitched laughter pierced through the air, echoing down the block, like she was still on a stage. I was sitting at the kitchen table, hands folded, laptop open in front of me, when the door burst open. "Ugh, I am so glad to be back," Emily groaned, dragging a designer suitcase with wheels that thudded against every stair. That last dinner gave me hives. Mom swept in next, oversized sunglasses still perched on her nose, dressed in a linen tunic that looked like it cost more than Grandma's monthly pension. She paused only to sneer at the living room. "Did you even clean up a little?" she asked, stepping over Grandma's shawl like it was trash. Behind her came Dad, red-faced and bloated, probably still drunk on buffet cocktails and self-importance. He grunted when he saw me. "Oh, you're still here." Jacob entered last earbuds in thumbs flying over his phone, pretending I didn't exist. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I stood as they dropped their bags. Emily collapsed onto the couch like she'd been through a war. "What's for dinner?" she whined. "I'm starving." Mom looked at me. "Aiden, you didn't make anything." I kept my voice even. "There's ham in the fridge. The same one you left Grandma to eat alone on Christmas Eve." Jacob chuckled under his breath. "Still on that just order takeout, dude. Not like you're broke." I looked at him. Then I looked at Grandma, who had shuffled in behind them, silent. She sat on the edge of her recliner, clutching the hem of her sweater. I stood up slowly and said, "Glad you're all here. Sit down. I have something to show you." They groaned and rolled eyes, but eventually they sat. Jacob kicked his feet up. Mom leaned back like she was bracing for a lecture. Emily plugged her phone into the wall. I clicked play. The screen lit up with an Excel spreadsheet. Not just any spreadsheet, a forensic financial audit. Every dollar withdrawn from Grandma's pension. Every purchase masked as a family emergency. Every Zelle transfer Emily requested to cover therapy bills that turned out to be Sephora hauls. Mom stiffened. "Where'd you get this?" "From her bank," I said. "You should have been more careful using someone else's password." Click. Next slide, screenshots of Venmo transactions, logins from Mom's phone accessing accounts tied to cruise lines, email threads between her and Emily. "He won't notice the deposit missing. He trusts us too much. Who leaves Grandma alone for Christmas anyway?" I clenched my jaw. But I didn't stop. "I could stop here," I said. "But I won't. One more file. A voice memo." Kelly's voice. Jacob's wife, cracked and sobbing. I didn't want to go. I begged him. But Jacob said if Aiden didn't pay, they'd just leave her and deal with it later. I only stayed quiet because he said it would blow over. "I'm sorry. I can't do it anymore." Jacob jumped up. "You recorded my wife. That's illegal." "No," I said, looking him in the eye. "She asked me to. She said she was tired of watching you bleed people dry." Dad rose to his feet. "You little snake. You've been spying on your own family." I clicked one last tab. An email. Subject: formal report of elder financial abuse. Evidence attached: recipient's Social Security Fraud Division, Grandma's attorney, 2 local news outlets, and the county ombudsman. I turned the screen so they could see. "You have 48 hours to return every penny I said my voice like steel, or I send this." Emily's hands were trembling. "You're bluffing. You'd never do that." "No," I said. "You already ruined the family. I'm just sending the bill." And then Grandma stood. She hadn't said a word this whole time. She stepped forward slowly, painfully, and placed her hand on the back of a chair. "I raised 3 of you, changed you, fed you, took care of you through the flu and breakups and the time Jacob crashed the car." She looked at each of them in turn. "And when I couldn't walk anymore, you left me with frozen beans and expired pie while you sipped champagne on stolen money." She paused. Her next words were barely above a whisper, but they hit like a hammer. "You're lucky it's him coming after you, because if it were just me—" She didn't finish. She didn't have to. The room was silent. Dad muttered something under his breath and stormed out. Emily started crying and reached for Grandma, who turned away. Jacob just sat there, jaw locked. "You're not family anymore," he spat. I looked at him and smiled. "No," I said. "I'm finally free." But they still didn't believe I'd go through with it. That was their biggest mistake. They thought I'd crack under guilt. I gave them silence, and then I gave them consequences. The first 24 hours, quiet. No apologies, no text, not even a fake apology emoji. Just me and Grandma eating microwave oatmeal in a too-quiet house, listening to the radiator hiss, while the storm outside matched the one I was brewing inside. By noon the next day, I'd waited long enough. I clicked send. That email, the one they laughed at, the one they said I'd never use, went flying into inboxes across the state. Attached a full spreadsheet of pension abuse. Audio recording of Kelly's confession. Timeline of account access matching Mom's devices. Screenshots of messages including the Instagram caption calling me a leech. Every piece of it. Neatly packaged, date stamped, time tracked. At 6:13 p.m., a response hit my inbox. "Thank you for your submission. A case has been opened." And just like that, it began. Day 3. It exploded. Jacob was first to crack. I woke up to 12 missed calls, all from numbers I didn't recognize. Burner phones, maybe. Then the texts came in a stream. "We didn't mean it like that. You're seriously going to destroy your own family over some money you always were too sensitive." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded every message to Natalie, Grandma's attorney's partner, and my new personal legal sledgehammer. Natalie was calm, unshakable. The kind of woman who could freeze a volcano with one email. She read the entire chain without blinking. By 11 a.m., she had drafted 4 letters of intent to sue, addressed to my parents, Jacob and Emily, signed and certified. Charges elder financial abuse, unauthorized access to retirement accounts, misappropriation of private loans. Amount owed, including interest and punitive damages, $14,322.85. Day 4. The knock came. It was Mom. No makeup. Hair pinned back like it had been clawed through a few dozen times. Her voice shook as she asked, "Can we talk?" I opened the door just wide enough. "Only if you brought a checkbook." She pulled an envelope from her bag. Inside a cashier's check. $8,500. My loan. I held it up. No interest. "You're lucky to get this," she snapped. "You're tearing this family apart." "No," I said, stepping outside and closing the door behind me. "I'm just turning my back on a thief." She blinked, staggered, but didn't argue. She walked away. Day 6, Emily called from her work phone. She was crying. The article had gone live. Title: Family Steals. Disabled grandmother's pension. Abandons her on Christmas, grandson fights back. It had 42,000 shares overnight. Her name was on every screenshot. Her cruise robe photo had become a meme. Emily's boss at the boutique marketing firm, not amused. "They're talking about suspending me," she wailed. "I could get fired." "Return the favor," I said. "Now pay your share." She did. 4 installments. I made her send proof each time. No shortcuts. No tears. "Jacob." He laughed. At first, posted a story on Instagram. "My boss don't care about fake news. Y'all think I'm scared." 3 days later, Kelly filed for separation. She called me the same night. Her voice was small, but steady. "I'm sorry it took this long, but I finally see who he really is. I can't let my kids grow up thinking this is normal." I asked if she needed help finding a place. She hesitated. "Only if there are no strings attached." I smiled. "Then yes, because you did the right thing." 2 days later, Jacob showed up at my door, unshaven, tired, furious. "You ruined everything," he hissed. "No," I said, handing him a fresh envelope. "You did. Inside Natalie's latest motion. Wage garnishment, filed, approved." He tried to tear it in half and throw it at me. I didn't flinch. "Pay every penny I said, or we freeze your accounts." He growled. "You're bluffing," I leaned in. "Ask your lawyer." By the end of week 2, it was done. $8,500 from Mom and Dad, $3,100 from Emily, including interest $2,700 from Jacob. After borrowing from his boss humiliatingly, total returned $14,300. I used $3,000 for my dental surgery. $2,000 bought Grandma a lift chair and hired a part-time home nurse. The rest locked into an interest-bearing account in Grandma's name. Only she and I could access it. When I showed her the documents, she held them like a newborn. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "They took everything from me," she whispered, "but they didn't take you." And that broke something deeper than any betrayal, and healed something I didn't know was still bleeding. But peace has a strange echo, and they weren't done talking. They tried to erase me with silence. Now the world was finally listening. The money was back, the threats had stopped, but that didn't mean they were done. They didn't call, but they posted. Oh, they posted. Emily resurfaced first. She tried to pull a redemption arc, posted a photo of a candle at church with the caption, "Forgiveness is hard but necessary. Some people don't understand what it means to heal." In the comments, someone had replied, "Did you ask your grandma if she forgives you for stealing her pension?" The post got flagged. She deleted it within an hour, then made her account private. Mom started whispering to distant relatives that I had manipulated Grandma in her old age. She conveniently left out the part where she used Grandma's pension to pay off her $6,000 liposuction bill. I had the invoice. Jacob went full delusional. Posted a reel using audio from Succession, standing dramatically on a balcony, looking out at nothing. The caption, "Some people would rather see you fall than rise with you." I laughed for 10 straight minutes. Rise with you. He tried to burn me alive and dance in the ashes. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Every time they posted, people remembered. Every time they lied, someone in the comments reminded them who they really were. The story had gone viral, not just in Colorado, nationally. Talk shows picked it up. Reddit threads analyzed it. Some influencer on TikTok stitched a dramatic reading of the email I'd written to Social Security. People called me everything from a hero to a symbol of generational courage. I didn't care about the labels. I just cared that it worked. Mom tried to start a YouTube channel, Cozy Kitchen with Carla. One episode and someone commented, "Did you buy that oven with stolen pension money?" She shut the whole thing down in 2 days. Emily tried applying for work at a new agency. Word got around. Nobody wanted a marketer who made headlines for financial abuse. Jacob's background check triggered red flags. The garnishment order scared off a job offer from some logistics firm in Denver. Oops. Meanwhile, I was free. I moved out, got an apartment that didn't smell like burnt coffee and guilt. All secondhand furniture, a mattress I picked out myself. I didn't want a single thing touched by their hands. Grandma came with me. One room for her, one for me. She called her room the fort, decorated it with crochet blankets and photos from the 80s. She started sleeping through the night again. No more waking up every hour, no more checking locks twice. Peace. Finally had a shape. Then one day a woman stopped me in the grocery store. Older, classy, gentle eyes. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you the one from the article, the one who saved his grandmother?" I blinked. "I guess." She nodded, eyes misty. "My mother went through the same thing, but no one fought for her. Thank you for being the one who did." She touched my arm gently, then walked away. I turned to Grandma. She had frozen, hand hovering over a can of soup. "I didn't think anyone saw us," she whispered. "They do now," I said. Then something incredible happened. A local nonprofit for elder protection reached out. They nominated me for a Civic Courage Award, said my case inspired dozens of others to come forward with their own stories. The ceremony was simple. No red carpets, no tuxedos. But when I stood up and accepted that plaque, something cracked open inside me. Not pride, freedom. Because I wasn't just the quiet kid who nodded anymore. I was the one who said no, who made noise, who fought back. And Grandma, she stood beside me, proud. Not of what I had taken back, but of the man I had become when I refused to disappear. But even peace leaves ghosts. And sometimes the loudest echoes come after the fight ends. They stopped calling, and for the first time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. It had been months since the blowout, months since the checks cleared, the emails were sent, and the damage rippled through their carefully constructed facades. They didn't call, they didn't text, but they talked. Emily kept her new Instagram handle, I Am Life Reset. She posted yoga poses with captions like, "Sometimes cutting out toxic people is how we grow," which was hilarious considering I didn't cut her out. I exiled her. Jacob became a parody of himself, reposting motivational quotes, pretending to be some misunderstood genius heir who had been betrayed by his jealous brother. Mom stuck to the family grapevine, told second cousins I took advantage of Grandma's vulnerability. She never mentioned how she drained Grandma's pension account across 5 years, one Botox payment at a time. But none of it touched me anymore. They could rewrite their story. But I had the receipts. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to scream. I just let the truth sit there like a spilled drink on a white carpet. And every time they tried to hide it, it just spread further. I spent those quiet months rebuilding, not just my savings, but myself. I quit the job that drained me, took a remote contract with better hours and better pay. I made a habit of walking with Grandma every morning, slowly, carefully stopping at the park bench near the old diner. She liked the bench, said it made her knees hurt less when she laughed. One night, she knocked on my door. She looked different. Not older, just fuller, settled. She sat on the edge of my bed and said, "Can I ask you something? Anything. When you saw that note, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just walk away from all of us?" I sat there a second searching for the truth. Then I said, "Because I remembered who I was, before they made me forget." She didn't speak, just nodded, eyes full. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." And that broke me more than any insult ever had, because she meant it, and no one else in that family ever did. Weeks later, I ran into Kelly outside a coffee shop. She looked better, lighter, freer. She told me she'd started night classes, wanted to get certified in something, anything, something hers. "I didn't know I could live like this," she said, "without being afraid of what he'd do next. You gave me that. I didn't know what to say." She stepped closer. "You changed more than just your life, you know." I nodded, and maybe for the first time, I believed it. So, here's how it ends. You want to know what happened to the family. They destroyed their name, trying to bury mine. You want to know what happened to me. I stopped waiting for them to call me family and started building one with the people who never made me beg to be loved. Now I sleep peacefully with all the lights off because I'm no longer afraid of what they'll take next. They already took everything, and I took it back. Have you ever faced something like this? Share your story below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. You're not alone, and your silence doesn't have to last forever.